Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahi wahda wa salatu wa salam ala man la nabiyya ba'dah. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. ICN family, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, today we'll be going through Surah Araf, verse number 188 to about verse number 193. And we'll begin from verse number 188, inshallah. In this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. قل, say, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, لا أملك لنفسي نفعا ولا ضرا إلا ما شاء الله. I hold not for myself the power of benefit nor harm except what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has willed. ولو كنت أعلم الغيب لاستكثرت من الخير وما مسني السوء. Right? And if I knew the unseen, I would have acquired much wealth, and no harm would have touched me. No harm would have touched me at all whatsoever. In ana illa nadhirun wa bashirun liqawmin yu'minun. I'm just a warner and a giver of glad tidings for the believing people. So in this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala essentially is trying to set the record straight. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to clarify some misconceptions, because as you may have, if you remember from the previous lecture that we had, and the previous video, the mushrikeen of Arabia had some preconceived notions. They thought that if you are a prophet of Allah, there are certain things that you have by default automatically. and some of those things are mentioned here in the verse. Number one, if you are a prophet of Allah, that means you have knowledge of the unseen. Right? In the previous verses, they were asking the Prophet ﷺ about the Day of Judgment. When is the Day of Judgment going to happen? Right? One of the asbab al-nuzul, the reason why it was revealed, was that they came to the Prophet ﷺ and they asked him, they told him that, we're relatives, we're related by blood. Tell us when is the market going to go up? When does it go down? Right, so then we know when to raise or lower our prices. Tell us these things so that we can benefit. Tell us when the Day of Judgment is going to happen. So they would assume that the Anbiya alayhimus salam, or the prophets, had this knowledge of the unseen, that they knew the small little hidden things of the earth and little small little details that other people didn't know, and they had absolute control and absolute knowledge of these things. So that's the first misconception they had. The second was that if he's a prophet of Allah, that means he should have complete control over what happens, right? Whether something good happens to somebody, if the prophet of Allah wants someone to have a good day, then that person is going to have a good day. And if he wants somebody to have a bad day, then that person is going to have a bad day. So they assumed that somehow the prophets had complete control over the circumstances of people and of the world in general. So, and this is why they would obsessively ask the Prophet ﷺ these questions, constantly ask him about these unseen issues. So this verse was revealed to set the record straight, to make things very, very clear, and to make it very open. And here the Prophet ﷺ, essentially, he's being told, give them a public service reminder. قل, say, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, لا أملك لنفسي نفعا ولا ضرا إلا ما شاء الله. I have no power even over myself. If I want something good to happen, I don't know what's going to happen the next moment. If Allah wills, then it will happen and something good will happen. If Allah does not wish, or if Allah wishes something bad to happen, then that's exactly what's going to happen. Except for what small little tiny things we do have control over that Allah gives us in this dunya, in this world. We're not talking about that. Right? Besides those things, I have no control over that, over any type, even my own self, let alone other people. And then the next part of the verse, وَلَوْ كُنْتُ أَعْلَمُ الْغَيْبِ لَاسْتَكْثَرْتُ مِنَ الْخَيْرِ. If I had knowledge of the unseen, I would have acquired so much wealth. Everything good would have came my way. وَمَا مَسَّنِي السُّوءُ. And you would have seen that in my life, I would never have gone through any hardship, any difficulty. Everything would have happened exactly how I wanted it. If I really had this, then this would have been the case. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here, He wants, He's asking the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to make this announcement so that people understand. And when they and give them some time. That, you look into the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you're going to see there were many instances in which when he wanted, something good to happen, but it didn't happen. I mean, look at Hudaybiyah. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he set out to do Umrah. He wore the ihram. All the Sahaba came. They're all wearing the ihram. There were neighboring tribes around them. They were all ready, and they're all going for a good purpose, a noble cause, to do Umrah. And they're all going. So if the Prophet ﷺ, and really that's what they wanted. So if the Prophet ﷺ really had complete control, that would have been the time. But what ended up happening? They didn't, and they were not even allowed to enter Mecca. The Prophet ﷺ had to sign a treaty, and not just any treaty. It was such a difficult treaty for the Sahaba to accept that they were just completely confused. The Prophet ﷺ telling them what to do, and they didn't know. They're just in a completely dazed and confused and in another world. So if the Prophet ﷺ had control, it would have been at that time, or during the Battle of Uhud. If the Prophet ﷺ really had complete control, the Battle of Uhud, which he was already winning, by the way, that's when everything should have went their way, but it didn't. One mistake cost them the entire battle, and they lost over 70 Sahaba in that battle. So if you look into the life of the Prophet ﷺ, you're going to see that even in his own life, he didn't have control. He went through many, what started out as a good situation turned into a bad one on many situations, many occasions. I just mentioned a couple right here, but there are many more if you really think about it, if you really, look into it. And perhaps this is why, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to show that these things happen. Why did these things happen? They happened for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to prove this exact point. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to prove that He's in complete control. Nobody else is in control. And if you think, the reason why the mushrikeen of Makkah, because this is how they view their idols. They worship these idols. They knew these idols weren't the ones who really created them, but their belief was because they're close to Allah or they're close to God, so God gave them control over something, gave them a certain power, and they have complete openness in this power. So they viewed the Prophet ﷺ, they thought if you're a prophet, then just like our gods have absolute control over their whatever powers they may have, you must be the same way. And this is why they made this assumption, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this verse is trying to clear up that assumption that this is not how it works. Allah is the one and only who is absolute in everything, and Allah does not share in His power. Whatever knowledge the Prophet ﷺ had was given to him by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because now some people may argue, but you know what? We do know that Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he foretold many situations, right? He gave us signs of the Day of Judgment. He gave us signs of the Day of Judgment. So if the Prophet ﷺ didn't have knowledge of the unseen, then he wouldn't be able to tell us. But that's not really true. These things were given to him. This knowledge was given to him by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's why he knew. And that's why in the end of this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala summarizes it very concise and very clearly. In ana illa nadhirun wa bashirun liqawmi yu'minun. That what is my responsibility? What is my job? I'm just a warner. I'm just here to give you the information, give you knowledge, give you wisdom, and those people who take heed, glad tidings for them, and those people who don't, then I'm just here to warn them. That's all. And that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala very nicely and neatly concludes in that verse. So then which takes us to the next verse. The verse number 189. هو الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وجعل منها زوجها ليسكن إليها. And He created it is He who created you from one soul and created from it its mate, that He might live in peace and security with her, or security with her. فلما تغشاها حملت حملا خفيفا فمرت به. And when He covers her, when husband and wife have their normal relation, حملت حملا خفيفا فمرت به. She carries a light burden and continues therein. فلما أثقلت دعوا الله ربهما لئن آتيتنا صالحا لنكونن من الشاكرين. And when this burden becomes heavy, they both invoke Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their Lord, and they say, if you should give us a good child, we will surely be amongst those who are grateful. فَلَمَّا آتَاهُمَا صَالِحًا. This is verse number 190 now. فَلَمَّا آتَاهُمَا صَالِحًا جَعَلَا لَهُ شُرَكَاءَ فِيمَا آتَاهُمَا فَتَعَالَى اللَّهُ عَمَّا يُشْرِكُونَ. But when he gives them a good child, they ascribe partners to him concerning that which he has given them. Allah is above whatever they associate with him. أَيُشْرِكُونَ. Then he wants you to ask yourself these questions. أَيُشْرِكُونَ مَا لَا يَخْلَقُ شَيْءٌ وَهُمْ يُخْلَقُونَ. Do they associate with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala those who create nothing and they themselves were created? وَلَا يَسْتَطِيعُونَ لَهُمْ نَصْرًا وَلَا أَنفُسَهُمْ يَنْصُرُونَ. And the false deities are unable to give them any help, which means these people who are doing the shirk and committing the shirk against Allah, they can't help them, nor can these things help themselves, regardless of what they are. وَإِن تَدْعُوهُمْ إِلَى الْهُدَى لَا يَتَّبِعُوكُمْ. And if the believers, invite them to guidance, right? لَا يَتَّبِعُوكُمْ. They will not follow you. سَوَاءٌ عَلَيْكُمْ أَدَعَوْتُمُوهُمْ أَمْ أَنْتُمُ صَامِتُونَ. It is the same, all the same for you, whether you invite them or you are silent. This is concluding verse number 193. So now we see that in this verse, first in the beginning, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts off with showing displaying his power and his might and that he created Adam alayhi salam from nothing, and from Adam alayhi salam he created Hawa alayhi salam. And this first part, liyaskuna ilayha, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that he created Adam alayhi salam first, showing his qudra and his power. But then there came a time when Adam alayhi salam, after having all the knowledge and experiencing whatever he experienced up until that time, he began to feel a bit lonely, he began to feel a little sad. And that's when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created our mother, Hawa alayhi salam. Right? He created Hawa alayhi salam so that they both can live together. Right? So liyaskuna ilayha, so that they can both live in comfort and security, because you normally when you're young, you go through life in a way where you go through life, when you're young, when you're a child, you're dependent on your parents, you gotta do whatever they say, and then finally you get an education and you stand up on your own feet, start working, and it's independence. We enjoy this independence, but you know what? After that independent